Buddha sat calmly beneath the Bodhi tree, his serene presence a beacon of peace to his disciples. He noticed their anxious expressions, each carrying the weight of their individual worries. Ananda approached, bowing deeply, his voice trembling with unease. "Master," Ananda began, his tone heavy with distress. "Life feels overwhelming, like an endless tide of waves crashing against my mind." Buddha gazed at him, his eyes filled with compassion and understanding, then picked up a handful of sand nearby. "This sand, Ananda, represents the moments of life," Buddha said. "How heavy is it?" he asked, holding the grains. Ananda answered, confusion evident in his voice. "The sand is light, Master. It weighs almost nothing in my hands." Buddha nodded, pouring the sand into Ananda's palms. "Now, imagine this handful as a single moment or thought. Can you carry it easily?" "Yes, Master. I can carry it with ease," Ananda replied, gripping the sand gently. Buddha smiled, scattering the sand across the ground, his movements deliberate and symbolic. "And if I placed the entire earth upon you?" Ananda hesitated, his expression troubled by the imagery. "It would be impossible, Master. The weight would crush me entirely." Buddha spoke gently, his voice steady and calm. "So it is with overwhelm, Ananda. Single moments are light, manageable. The whole earth is not yours to bear." He paused, allowing his words to settle into their thoughts. "Do not attempt to lift the earth. Begin by lifting a single grain." The disciples listened intently, their breathing slowing, their hearts quieting as they absorbed the profound wisdom shared. Buddha continued, drawing a circle in the sand with his fingertip, creating a boundary between grains. "Focus here. This circle represents your immediate attention. The thoughts and tasks within your reach," Buddha explained, his movements precise and mindful. "When overwhelmed," he said, "your mind leaps to grasp everything at once. That is why suffering arises from scattered focus." Ananda nodded slowly, his gaze fixed on the small circle Buddha drew in the sand. "How do we keep our focus, Master?" Buddha reached for a single leaf, placing it within the circle. It must flow with openness and humility, unobstructed by the ego or desire to control the narrative. I knelt beside the Buddha, my gaze fixed on the fluid dance of the water, its reflections captivating. Buddha added, his voice unwavering, "Let each task be a leaf in your circle. Complete one before adding another. As rivers flow toward the ocean," Buddha said, "let your actions flow steadily toward peace, unhindered by unnecessary debris." Ananda spoke again, his voice filled with newfound clarity. "Master, how do we resist the urge to carry more than one grain?" Buddha gestured to the tree's roots, weaving deeply into the earth. "Remain grounded, Ananda. Awareness is your anchor in moments of chaos." He stood, his movements graceful, his hands resting softly on the trunk of the Bodhi tree beside him. "This tree bears countless leaves and branches," Buddha observed, "yet it does so without complaint or despair. It grows steadily. Learn from its patience," he continued, "for even in stillness, growth happens naturally. Focus not on quantity, but on quality." Sujata spoke up, bowing as she approached. "Master, what if the grains seem endless? How do we act without feeling defeated?" Buddha placed another handful of sand into his palm, letting it fall grain by grain. "Release resistance, Sujata. Let each grain fall." The disciples pondered, their minds gradually lightening as Buddha's teachings sank deeper into their understanding of life and its burdens. Buddha lifted his hand toward the sky, his fingers tracing a crescent-like arc toward the horizon. "Notice the winds," he said. "The wind carries countless grains of sand," Buddha explained. "Yet it does not cling to them. It moves freely across." He observed their faces, searching for reflections of wisdom and clarity, offering space for silence to shape their realizations. Be like the wind, Buddha instructed softly, carrying what you need, yet releasing what no longer serves your path forward. The disciples breathed deeply, feeling an invisible release of tension, their shoulders visibly softening as they internalized his words. Buddha's presence, radiant and unyielding, invited peace into the hearts of all who sat around him that day. Overwhelm is not an external burden, Buddha concluded. It arises from the mind's grasping. Let go, grain by grain. The disciples bowed in reverence, their spirits humbled by the simplicity of wisdom that Buddha had shared with them. Another day, another lesson unfolded as Buddha sat beneath the morning sun, the Bodhi tree casting shadows over him gently. Sujata approached him, her vessel of water trembling in her hands, her face marked by worry and sleepless nights. Master, Sujata began, her voice tinged with desperation. I carry too much, and my life feels like it might overflow. Buddha looked at her with kindness, observing the vessel filled to its brim, water glistening in the sunlight. What burdens your vessel, Sujata? He asked, his tone calm yet probing, urging her to reflect on the weight she carried. My duties, my family, my ambitions, each drop added daily, until I fear the vessel will crack and shatter, she answered. Buddha gestured for Sujata to sit beside him, his movements purposeful, guiding her toward understanding and calmness in her heart. He lifted the vessel gently, allowing a few drops of water to spill onto the earth beneath their feet. Why do you fear these drops, Sujata? Buddha asked, his voice steady as the droplets absorbed into the soil below. Master, I have spent years filling this vessel, ensuring every drop is held within its fragile walls, she replied. Buddha nodded, his expression serene, then reached for a single pebble resting nearby and dropped it into the vessel. The water spilled again, spreading softly across the ground as Sujata watched, her worry now mingled with curiosity. Balance, Sujata, is not found in holding everything, Buddha said. It arises from releasing what overwhelms and weighs upon your heart. He took another pebble, his movements deliberate and symbolic, and placed it gently into the vessel, spilling a few more drops. Let go of the excess, Buddha continued. Learn to make space for peace, rather than striving to hold what overflows. Sujata nodded slowly, her hands resting on the vessel, feeling its weight differently now, with understanding dawning within her mind. What happens when we release, Master? She asked hesitantly, her voice carrying a glimmer of hope intertwined with lingering doubt. Buddha pointed toward the earth where the spilled water seeped into the soil, nourishing the roots hidden beneath their view. Release nourishes growth, Buddha replied. It feeds what lies unseen, the soil and roots of your path, supporting you silently. Sujata contemplated his words, her breathing slowing, her thoughts clearing, her spirit beginning to ease in Buddha's presence. Another disciple spoke up, her curiosity sparked by the teaching unfolding before them. Master, does release diminish us? Buddha smiled gently, gesturing toward the branches above him, each leaf moving softly with the breeze surrounding the tree. Observe the tree, Buddha said. It releases leaves, yet it continues to grow. Be as the still pond, reflecting their pain, their joy, their essence, as it is, without interference. The villager, still seated nearby, observed the scene, his grief gradually replaced by a sense of peace and understanding. Sujata bowed her head, her hands trembling slightly as she let go of the vessel and watched the water spill freely. Buddha turned to her, his voice tender yet purposeful. Do you feel lighter, Sujata? He asked, inviting her to share openly. She hesitated, her voice quiet yet firm. Yes, Master, I feel lighter, as if I can finally breathe deeply once again. Buddha nodded, placing his hand upon hers softly. his touch grounding her in the present moment of realization. Hold only what nourishes you, Buddha instructed. Release that which overwhelms you, and trust that growth follows every act of letting go. The disciples felt renewed in their hearts. Their burdens lessened as Buddha's words resonated profoundly within their minds and spirits. Another day, another lesson awaited as Buddha stood by the river, its currents flowing steadily toward the distant ocean. The disciples gathered around him, their eyes curious, their hearts open, eager to receive wisdom from their revered teacher. Buddha gazed at the water, watching its rhythmic flow, and gestured for his disciples to sit beside the riverbank. Observe this river, Buddha said, his voice calm and resonant. It flows without resistance, carrying itself naturally toward its destination. Ananda spoke first, his tone filled with curiosity. Today, my disciples, we will not speak of words, the Buddha said, his tone resonant, almost melodic in its clarity. Today, we will listen to silence, for silence is often where truth resides, hidden among the spaces between words. It represents your essence, your being, and your journey toward peace. He lifted a handful of water, letting it drip through his fingers, shimmering like jewels in the sunlight above. This water carries everything you encounter, Buddha said, but overwhelm arises when debris blocks the flow of your inner river. The disciples listened intently, their minds engaging with the metaphor, their spirits yearning for deeper understanding of their struggles. Master, Sujata asked hesitantly, how do we clear the debris that clutters our inner river and restores its natural flow? Buddha smiled gently and pointed to the leaves and twigs floating on the surface, carried along by the currents below. Acknowledge the debris, Buddha replied. Do not cling to it. Allow it to flow freely, and your river will clear. The disciples reflected deeply on his words, their thoughts turning inward, examining their own lives, their own rivers of existence. Buddha continued, the river does not resist the twigs or leaves. It flows onward, unhindered by what it cannot control. Sujata nodded, her expression softening as realization dawned within her. So, we must release what clutters our path. Master? Buddha nodded, his gaze warm and affirming, his presence a calm anchor amidst the complexities of their inner turmoil. Release is the key, Buddha said. Let go of judgment, attachment, and fear, for they are the roots of overwhelm. Another disciple, Dharmika, spoke up, her voice laced with concern. But Master, what if the debris feels impossible to release? Buddha turned to her, his voice steady and compassionate. Debris only feels heavy when you grasp it. Let it pass. Master, I asked softly, how does one learn to embrace silence without fear of its emptiness? The Buddha placed a hand upon my shoulder, grounding me in his presence, his gaze unwavering yet filled with compassion. Begin by stilling the turbulence within your own heart, the Buddha replied, his voice a whisper yet imbued with strength. It is the resistance to its presence that causes suffering to arise. The disciples pondered his words, their hearts opening to the wisdom embedded within his teaching, their burdens feeling slightly lighter. When you listen to silence, allow its truth to surface naturally. As the stream carries the silt of understanding, the disciples and I exchanged glances, our minds attuned to the profound simplicity of his teachings, our hearts receptive. Within you lies an ocean as well. He paused, allowing his words to resonate, creating space for silence to deepen their understanding, to let truth find its roots. Your ocean is clarity, infinite wisdom, and calm, Buddha continued, but overwhelm keeps you away from realizing its infinite depth. The disciples murmured softly among themselves, exchanging thoughts, drawing connections to their own experiences and the teachings unfolding before them. Buddha traced a circle in the dirt with his staff, marking the ground as a physical symbol of focus and intention. Begin with this, Buddha said. Acknowledge the debris, let it pass through the river, and reconnect with the ocean within. Ananda bowed deeply, his voice filled with newfound clarity. Master, how do we know when we have reached the ocean within? Buddha's eyes softened, his tone full of assurance. You will feel peace, Ananda. The ocean is stillness amidst life's ceaseless currents. The disciples sat quietly, the river's gentle sounds harmonizing with the wisdom Buddha shared, their hearts feeling lighter, more attuned. Buddha took a pebble and tossed it into the river, watching as the ripples spread outward, merging with the flowing waters. Each ripple, Buddha said, is an action or thought. Let your ripples align with the flow, not against it. The disciples breathed deeply, feeling an invisible weight lift from their spirits as they absorbed the essence of Buddha's teachings. Flow toward the ocean, Buddha concluded. Release the debris, let the currents guide you, and embrace the infinite depth within. The sun dipped lower, casting golden reflections upon the water. As the disciples sat in stillness, enveloped by the wisdom shared. You mean I must stand firm within myself, regardless of the chaos around me? Is that mindfulness? Yes, Buddha replied. Mindfulness is not escape from the world but transformation through awareness and compassion within its challenges. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.